honored to be here. My name is Johnny Woods, and I'm a relationship and communication coach. And I always say it like that because I think to have healthy relationships, we need to be talking to one another. And you need to do it in a way that's effective and nonviolent. We have technical problems, so I'm just going to say click. I say click. There you go. Effective nonviolent communication starts with self-awareness. One of the biggest things that I talk to my clients is you have to know who you are before you can start a conversation, a real conversation. One of the things that I do is I work with individuals and I work with companies. I do family group sessions. I do individual sessions. I do corporate sessions for long periods of time, 6 months at a time. I'll come in and I'll work with your team and talk through the problems that are escalating. I obviously a relationship coach, but I'm also a shift manager at Weber's restaurant, and I got to see it. So if I tell Weber stories, it stays in here. It stays in this room, okay? Weber stories do not leave. No, I'm kidding. I love relationships. I want them to become healthy. And healthy relationships take work. The book that I use, if you click the next slide, is Nonviolent Communication. Oh, wait, sorry, my children. My children are actually here with me today. My son is be a senior at Skyline this year, and he is working with a videographer. So he is right now videotaping me. Everyone say hi. It's his first professional job today, and I'm very excited for him. So I'm just like, I get free video work, and I get to, show him what I do. My daughter is also my personal assistant this summer, so she's right behind you doing her thing too. Okay, so next slide is Nonviolent Communication by Marshall B. Rosenberg is probably the best book I've ever read. But what he wrote to start it, and this is why it caught my attention, what I want in my life is compassion, a flow between myself and others based on mutual giving from the heart. And the only way to do that is to have really authentic and genuine conversations. But you can't do that until you know who you are. And that comes down to emotional intelligence. So the next slide. Pretty sure. Yeah. Okay. So emotional intelligence, there's five different components to healthy emotional intelligence. Click. One more. And they're not in any particular order. It's just kind of the way. Oh, do it again. There you go. Social skills. Being able to create and maintain healthy relationships. Next one. There's a space here. There you go. Decision making. The ability to make responsible choices and accept their outcome. Next slide. Or next. Empathy. The capacity to empathize and appreciate another perspective. Another one. Self-awareness. The knowledge of one's own thoughts, feelings, and motivations. And last but not least, self-regulation. The ability to regulate emotions and actions in a variety of environments. Now, I'm sure all of us can think of some people who lack almost all of these. Like emotional intelligence is not something that we're focusing on in any kind of corporate world right now. Those are considered soft skills. What they want to focus on is leadership and strength skills and sales skills. But we need all of these to build those relationships, to have good leadership, to have good sales, to have all of those things that help bring people into your sphere of conversation. So we're going to focus on these two today, but know that they're all in here. And you'll find in your packet, because I'm going to have you guys do a little emotional intelligence work yourself today, but you'll see a list of all 5 components. We're going to start with, hold on. Click to the next slide. Okay, so what I talk about with communication and why it's more than just talking, because people, we can just talk, but to communicate is the very definition of communication, the successful conveying or sharing of ideas and feelings. Now, how many of you guys go into an actual meeting and say, this is what I'm trying to convey? And have I done the work in myself to be able to convey it properly and in a healthy, nonviolent way? You're not bullying someone into it. You're not triangulating someone into it. You're taking a moment to go, this is how I feel about this situation. How can I communicate that in a healthy way? That's the very definition of communication. And to do that, you have to be self-aware of who it is that you are and how you take in information. So we're going to play a little game, a little fun exercise. Everyone can stand up. I know you were just out there and you wanted to sit. You were like, oh, I feel so much better. Okay, so we're going to put on the screen a bunch of words. This is the first test run, and I love this game. I think it's just so much fun. This is, it's going to be just a list of statements. And as soon as you figure them out, you can sit down, okay? And I'm going to give you 90 seconds. This is just test run. Okay. You ready? Okay, click. I know, let's see if it works. All right, one more. And ready, set, go. As soon as you figure out these statements, you can sit.
Can we read it backwards?
Nope. There's a whole. It's a statement. I promise you, it's there. As soon as you
one whole statement in all of those.
just it's one statement here, one statement here, one statement here.
Okay.
So as soon as you figure it out, you got another minute. You guys are trying to work together. I don't care. You guys can work together if you're figuring it out. Oh, there we go. Now we're talking. It's just one statement. Yep. 30 more seconds. 15 more seconds. Oh, you guys were giving up. I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't understand what's going on.
Does anybody ever get this?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
I'm sorry. Ask about this question. I'm going to give you a honest answer. All right. Okay. This was just a test run. Go ahead and click the first one.
Okay.
Next one. You got one. There you go. All right, so that was the test one. We're going to do it one more time. And as soon as you get it, like I said, sit down. I want to see who wins this. All right, next round. Ready, set, go. You guys can work together. It's okay.
Working together, what's that?
You got it. Fair. One more minute. Well, like 55 seconds. Do you have any of them? 1, 2, 3. Okay, we got one. Right, 30 more seconds. Nope. Everyone, you're shaking your head. Man, I should cut this down to just 60 seconds.
I got the first one, effective communication. Oh, that's not.
Nice. I like it. Let's cut that out next time.
Oh.
All right, how many got one? How many got two? 3? 3? 4? 5 of them? 6 of them? No? All right, you guys can go ahead and sit down. We'll show them to you. First one is. Second one. Okay, so we're going to leave this on the screen for a minute. Do we understand why I would show this game to you guys? How frustrating was it when you're trying to figure this out? And that's what poor communication looks like. You're sitting here going, I don't know what you're saying. I can't figure this out. You were driving me insane. And they're literally just going, oh my God. This is all I'm trying to say. This is literally all I'm trying to say. They are so frustrated that there's a disconnect. And so communication, even when this starts to get really frustrating, you're like, I saw some of you guys just shaking your head and hearing it in your head going, doing this. Like, can I sit down now? Like that kind of stuff. That's how easy we can jump out of conversations. So what we have to do is take a step back. So next slide. Okay. So it's just a silly way to kind of recognize the difficulties. To be fair, I hate that game. I'm terrible at it. My son can get them in 30 seconds. I bet he had that whole thing done before even starting the timer. But sorry, I'm a little lost about my clicker. The hardest part about communication is learning how to communicate outside of your lens. Next slide. I like to think of lenses not in glasses where they correct your vision, because that's different. Suddenly you're seeing clearly, right? When we have lenses and who we bring to the table, it changes our vision. Like sunglasses do. You put yellow ones on, suddenly everything's yellow. You put really dark ones on, suddenly you can't see anything. We all have lenses that we bring into our conversations, that we bring into our relationships, that we bring into when we come to the table. It's who we are. And the various lenses that I wanted to list, they're easy peasy. These are the ones that make it so easy to go, oh, right, we're seeing things differently. Up here, firstborns. How many are firstborns? I'm a firstborn. How many are babies? Okay. How many are middle children? Feel lost all the time. There you go. Okay. See, you're going to see your world differently. I'm working with a family right now, and it's 5 sisters. Everyone from the firstborn to the little baby. And they all see everything differently. And they're fighting because they can't get the other person to see their perspective. The firstborn wants everyone to be more responsible. The baby's like, why can't we have more fun? Exactly. And these are the things. And it's not that it's bad. It's just that you have to go, okay, when I come to this conversation as a baby, I need to take off my lens and try to look at it from her perspective. Next one. Boomers, Generation X, millennials, we know that these two right now are fighting. Like, you just can't get online without them arguing about tight jeans and whatever is going on. And Gen Alpha, who is the younger generation, which I work with a lot at Weber's, is Gen Alpha. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, do you have no work ethic? Of course they don't. Hi. These are things that I have to remember. Because, yeah, we worked 80 hours a week growing up. And that's not what I wanted for my kids. So when I tell my kids boundaries and work-life balance, I have to remember that I didn't grow up like that. So some of the values that I'm trying to teach are going to be skewed. Like, these are all really important things that you got to know. Next one. Who does personality assessments? I love personality assessments. But all of these make you so different. You can come in and you're suddenly a D and then a alpha male or Enneagram 8, there's just so many things. And I have 2 of my, like I said, Weber's stories stay here. But 2 of my Weber's managers, they're the exact same Enneagram, but they both, because of their other lenses in their life, whether they're firstborns, whether they're babies, whether they're their only childs, they approach their leadership style very differently. One is successful right now and one's struggling, but they're the same personality type. But it's all about the lenses. Next one. Love languages. I love love languages. Physical touch, gifts, words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service. All of those change your lenses. Next one. Faith-based versus atheist. Have you ever had a conversation with someone who really believes in their beliefs? It changes how they come to you. It changes what they believe in work ethic or perseverance or suffering or anything like that. It changes all of those conversations that you're having. Next one. Introvert versus extrovert. Would you believe I'm actually an introvert?
No.
I am. I'm actually an introvert. But to be able to connect in a real way where I'm building relationships with people, I have to come at a different perspective. I have to be extroverted. I can't have you guys come to me. That would be ridiculous. Hi. I'm the speaker. Just come talk to me. No, I want to engage. I want to make a difference in the relationships that we build today. So I have to change my perspective. And obviously, very rich, poor, middle class. I mean, I don't even need to go into that one. Okay, next one. Next and last. Whether you're divorced, married, committed relationships, polyamorous, that happens too. It changes all of your perspective. So all of these make a difference on how we take in information. As an exercise in emotional intelligence, I want you to get your packet out. There's a little half sheet that has various lenses. An exercise in emotional intelligence. So this first one, there's a pen in there. We're going to leave this on the screen. Well, actually, you can skip through. Are you? Yeah. We'll leave it. All right. So for your own emotional intelligence, you're wanting to build your social skills. Remember, we're wanting to have self-awareness. We're wanting to have self-regulation. We want to know how to make a difference in the relationships in our lives. So to do that, self-awareness is step number one. So this is just various lenses. I want you to go through and just kind of let's do 2 minutes, just write what kind of lenses you might be bringing to the table. Do some self-work here. Are you a firstborn? Are you Generation X? Are you an Enneagram? Do you love physical touch? Are you faith-based? Do you have a different belief system? Are you an introvert, extrovert? These are various lenses. I want you to kind of write some of them down and what that does to your relationships, like how you see the world. Okay? 2 minutes. Okay, just about 10 more seconds. Okay. So I'm sure there's so much more work that we can be doing internally on this kind of stuff. For me, every time I go into new situations and new relationships, I've got a lot of lenses that I bring to the table. I'm a single mom, 2 kids that are raised full time. Their father passed away in July of 2020. We moved here, and I moved here about 2 weeks before my mom passed. I came here to be closer to her, to take care of her. So my lenses keep changing. My father died about a month before I was getting my divorce in 2015. So I have no parents. So me being a single mom to 2 kids who only have one parent now, I struggle. I bring these things to the table. I have conversations that are really difficult because I go, how do I convey when my son has to go on his first boys trip? He leaves on Saturday. He's going all by himself. He's 17. He's got his own car. How do I look at him without bringing my emotional trauma to him and say, please be safe, but have fun? Like, I don't want to scare him. I don't want to do any of that stuff to him. I don't want to bring my trauma into his life. In May of last year, Memorial Day, our house burned down. So we were homeless, displaced for about 16 weeks. And I don't have a lot of money. I'm actually quite poor. So when I talk to my kids about finances, I don't want to give them my trauma with money. When I talk to my work about needing, hey guys, my serving shift only gave me $27. I'm going to have to find another job. For them, they don't understand. They don't recognize that. Sure, yeah, they kind of understand a little bit, but I have to be genuine. I have to be open. I have to have hard conversations where I look at them and say, because of the trauma in my past, because of everything I've gone through, I know that I'm going to be a stickler with money. I'm going to work really hard. I was the firstborn, so I grew up taking care of my brother. Got in trouble whenever he got in trouble. It's those kind of things where okay, I can't be accountable for your actions. My firstborn instinct tells me that I want to be, but I can't. So these are all these things. I love relationships, and I'm not coming in going, I have the best life ever. No, but I understand that for me to have even better relationships, high quality, high functioning, where we're challenging each other, we're growing in amazing ways, I have to know what it is I bring to the conversation every time. So next slide. Maybe. Oh, There we go. Nope, one more. See, I knew we were missing some stuff. Yeah. Can you do one more slide? Okay, so to reiterate what we've covered so far, effective communication happens when you are invested in becoming self-aware. Okay, and building your emotional intelligence to do this right, you need to know the various lenses that you wear. Next slide. So the next step in this whole process. So now that I know what I'm bringing, the baggage, the trauma, the lenses, however you want to describe it. Now that I know what I'm bringing to the conversation, I have to start by separating observance from evaluation. You need to clearly observe what you're seeing, hearing, and touching without mixing evaluation. And it's actually a lot easier than people think. It sounds like a kind of a big practice, but we're going to do another game. I need 5 volunteers. If I don't get volunteers, I'm calling Destination Ann Arbor up. Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come on up. Come on up. Take some. You can leave that. We're going to put one of you right here. 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 All right. We're going to separate the room you get from this.
Separation.
You get this. Right. My daughter's going to hand you a little charade game. You get this group right here. You get right here in the middle. You guys are right there. You guys get right there. And then you guys get we're going to put you right here.
Oh, you just stick us in the corner.
Right there. Right there. Okay. We're going to give you, they have a thing that they're going to act out. It's just a standard charades game, all right? We got this. We got this. As soon as you get it, you guys have to yell loud, okay? So that I know that they got it. Are you ready? You're regretting the volunteering now. All right. We get 2 minutes, 1 minute, unless you guys figure it out. Let me reset. Ready, set. You're going to act it out like charades. And go.
Unfair. That's all I have to say.
Yay.
Small.
You can do it. You got it. Oh, they got it. They got all right, share your. Well, they got it. John Wick. Fly Boys. These are like pop culture. First, Schindler's List. Maybe not pop culture. The flag. Okay, what did you have? Braveheart. Okay, you guys can go ahead and sit. No, you're fine. Sorry. Okay, so I know she did one. John Wick. I thought like puppy or something you could do. I don't know. Okay, so when you put that game into context of observation over evaluation, okay, observation over evaluation, it's same as the other game. You're trying to figure out what's going on. So when you're observing, how many people were asking questions? Is this? How many of you guys were asking questions? Questions. How many people were just shouting out answers? Okay, that right there is the difference between observation and evaluation. When you observe, you ask questions. Okay, you're asking, like, are you this? Get me closer to what you're trying to tell me. When you ask questions, you're observing. When you're evaluating, you're just throwing statements out. And it's not bad. Like I said, it's an easy thing to start practicing. You start observing by asking questions. It brings you closer to the answer than just shouting things out. Because shouting things out, you both get frustrated. You're both like, no, that is not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm trying to do. When you start asking questions, then you feel an engagement. You're like, yes, you're so close. You're almost there. Keep asking one more question. That's what observation over evaluation looks like. Next slide. Oh, next one. When we're observing, you're asking questions. I already said all this, but go, guys. Another one. Another one. Okay. So self-regulation is the ability to regulate emotions and actions in a variety of environments. So this right here, one of the things that I like to talk about is when you're getting ready to go in a situation. I just had this with my boss. Again, Weber story staying there. I like my boss. I think he's great. It's taken me a long time to break down some of his walls. But when I was getting ready to have a conversation with him, I knew I had to go in with various points because I've spent a lot of time getting to know him, who he is as a person, what he brings to the table, having deeper conversations with him so that I can better understand who he is. What's family life like? How is he doing? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you over caffeinated? Have you had too much sugar? Do we need to take a break before I have this conversation with you? These are the things that I have been observing of him so that I know when I need to have a difficult conversation with him, I know how to do it. Because that's for me, that's how I build relationships. And so I had to go in and I had to have a conversation with him. And I knew I was coming in a little bit hot. Not super angry, but I was frustrated. And I waited. I waited till kind of the bigger frustration left. And then I wrote down, when you're having conversations with people, you have to be very intentional on what you're doing. You have to know who you are. So I know that if I come in hot and he's not prepared to kind of get ready for me, we're just going to clash right away. So I started out with the easy stuff. I was like, yeah, this is what happened. These are, I just worked 5 days in a row at Weber's, really long holiday weekend. And he wanted to know how it went. I said, yeah, I really would like to be able to sit down with you and talk about things. So I came in. This is a professional setting. This isn't an intimate romantic partner relationship. This is a professional setting. These are some things that we need to talk about. So I made my list, and so we went through it, and he, because of the context and knowing that I was coming in with a list, he was a little bit more defensive. So I started out with the easy stuff. I was like, we need to talk about just okay, tell me how to work through this situation. Tell me what I need to do in this situation. And it kind of calmed him down a little bit. He kind of relaxed. He was like, oh, okay, I feel like this is going to be okay. So we get through it, and then I bring up the manager situation. I was like, okay, I can see this. Here's how I can offer help. Here's what I can do. And I keep telling him, because I look at him and I say, I'm taking off this hat. Because right now in this situation, I'm your speaker, so I have the speaker hat on. But if we're out there and, I'm going to talk to Katie after and be like, hi, Weber's friend, I'm going to put my Weber's hat on. You have to know your various lenses. And so to do that, that means you have to know what you're communicating out of. So when I started the conversation with him, I started with I'm talking as the shift lead. These are the situations. Tell me how to handle it so I know how to do it appropriately. Then I was like, okay, I'm going to take that off. And I'm literally telling him, I'm going to take this hat off. I'm going to put on the relationship coach hat. He was like, okay. And when you start actively changing how you speak to people, it's going to kind of throw them off. They're going to be like, what are you doing? But it's genuine. It helps them shift gears too. So I looked at him and I said, as a relationship coach, this is what I do. I go into companies and I talk to them about their management style. I said, this is the problem I see with this manager, and here are some options to fix it. And he was like, oh, okay. Well, great. He's taking little notes. He's not getting offended that he's done a horrible job, but he hasn't done a horrible job. But, he's not feeling that guilt of not being a good leader. Because when you're trying to encourage people to be better leaders, you have to be able to communicate good outcomes. This is how it will get better if we do these things. But I had to take the lenses. And then the last topic, the one that kind of had me coming in hot, was as a mom. I needed to have a conversation about a situation with my son. And so I was like, okay, I got all that done. I'm going to take this off and I'm going to come in and I'm going to talk to you as a parent, as an outside person. And you could tell he bristled a little bit. He was like, oh, let me get ready for it. And being able to address the conversation in a new format helped him adjust as well. And we didn't clash. He was like, oh, okay, I see some problems. I see some issues. He started sending out emails and he started fixing this. He started fixing the problem. And then we got to a point where I was like, I felt heard. I did. I walked out of there and went, okay, that was a lot better than I thought it could be. But I had to do all of these. I had to self-regulate. I knew, and I told him, when I took my hat off and I said, I'm going to be a mom, I said, I'm really frustrated. Well, at first I said, I'm kind of frustrated. And I was like, no, I'm really frustrated. And it's okay. It's okay to share those because he wasn't feeling the heat. I had the emotions, but he wasn't getting the emotional kickback. That's self-regulation. That's emotional intelligence. That's how you build authentic relationships through effective nonviolent communication. So next slide. Okay. So what would you consider this statement?
Aggressive.
Fair. Aggressive. What else? Harsh. Yep. Anything else?
True.
Name calling.
Offensive.
Okay. You know what it is? It's an evaluation. This is an evaluation. And then if you hit the next slide, what this is the observation. See the big difference? When you come in like that, there's no way anyone's going to hear you. The point of how you communicate and accepting personal responsibility and ownership for what you bring to the table, emotional intelligence, various lenses, all that kind of stuff, is suddenly you start communicating your feelings. Now, this part's scary. Because I could have looked at my boss and said, I'm a little frustrated. Actually, no, I'm really frustrated. He could have just automatically backed up and been like, oh, well, we're not having that conversation. Thankfully, we built a relationship and rapport that when I say my feelings, this is about me, this isn't about you, this is about me. He is a nice enough, good enough person that he's going to be like, oh, well, I don't want anyone's feelings to be hurt. Because essentially that's the thing. Like people come in and there's conflict and you start to assume that they're jerks, that they're assholes, that they don't care about you. You get all of those kind of things. When you're because you're this constant conflict. The problem is because you're going in with an evaluation instead of being vulnerable and building a connection. Next slide. Sorry, you just have to keep there. You go. Okay. He is so arrogant. What would this be? See? Once we start switching our thinking, that's what happens. Now, I really like this sentence because I hear this a lot. And it's easy to start picking it apart. Okay, well, tell me, why do you think he's arrogant? Like, if you think of someone that well, never mind, I don't want to hit any examples, so we're not calling people out. Okay, so you're thinking of someone's coming in, they're arrogant, they're all cocky, they're like, yes, I own the room. And what you want to do is say, oh, I just don't like the way that he talks to me or anything like that. Like you want to start building more case against him. When actually what I tell you to do, next slide, is when I'm near you, I feel insecure. You get in touch, and it may not be true. Maybe he is coming in hot and he's a cocky jerk. I don't know. But do you check yourself first? When someone comes in and they bring up an insecurity or suddenly you're like, ooh, I feel really uncomfortable around them. Do you stop for a minute and go, what is it inside of me that is making that happen? Maybe you're coming in and you're so confident and I'm like, oh, damn, I wish I had your confidence because I'm a natural introvert and I really hard time with this. And then I would say, oh, man, you really intimidate me, but can we hang out a little bit? Like, I want what you've got. I want when you walk in a room, it elevates. That's self-awareness. That's self-regulation. That's growth. Next one. You don't care about me anymore. What would this be?
That's an evaluation again.
Yeah. So in order, how would you reframe this? What would you say? If you're having this conversation to someone, how would you be self-aware of your feelings? What would you say?
I'm not feeling valued.
My needs are not being met. Sorry. Oh, I said my needs are not being met. There you go.
I feel that you don't care.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I'm feeling love.
Don't feel heard.
There you go. So the one that I came up with for this one, and it could be anything, like I'm not, saying this happens in everybody's life, said, I feel sad that we don't spend as much time together anymore. So then once you're able to say your feelings, what would the next need be? If I said this statement, I said, I feel sad that we don't spend as much time together anymore. What would my request then be?
Spend more time with you.
Exactly. And then what would happen? You'd spend more time together and your relationship is built. Instead of coming in hot and saying, oh, you don't care about me anymore. And this person's like, I do, but do I really want to spend time with you right now? No. It's legitimate. These are legit. You can't, when you come in like that, when you make an evaluation, then the problem becomes they have to push through their own feelings. You're not opening it up for connection. I had my work wife. She's fantastic. She used to work out of Ann Arbor, and then she moved to Virginia, got married, was there for 10 years, came back, and reconnected with her roommate for the time that she was here. But her roommate is busy. Her life moved on, 10 years apart. And it's hard for someone when they come back to a town that they used to be a part of, to reintegrate. Everybody's different. And she was starting to get really upset. And it was a slow lunch, and so she wanted to talk about it. And I asked her specifically, I said, am I wearing my friend hat or am I wearing my coach hat? And she said, I need the coach hat. I said, okay. I said, then you need to do this. You need to be vulnerable and give her the opportunity to show up for you. The problem is this doesn't give them the opportunity to show up for you. This does. And that's how you build better relationships with your team, with your partners, with your family, with anybody that you're looking to build a relationship with. You give them the opportunity to show up because 9 times out of 10, they will. It took her a bit. It took her a couple months, but she stopped taking it personally. She stopped making evaluations. And suddenly they're hanging out again. They go out to dinner and they have a great time. I lost my work wife. That's funny. Okay. So anyways, next one. Once we can communicate our observations without evaluations, we can begin to recognize the feelings within the conversation and then express those feelings. Now, in your packet, you will find lists of feelings. Can you hit the next slide? I know there's one in there somewhere. Yes, here it is. So the book, Nonviolent Communication, Marshall Rosenberg says, our repertoire for words calling people names is often larger than our vocabulary of words to clearly describe our emotional state. So you'll find there's two. One is front and back, and it says negative or feelings that when our needs are not being met. And then how we are likely to feel when our needs are being met. We're adventurous, we're affectionate, we're happy, we're hopeful, we're all of those kind of things. But then there should be another third one in there. No, I don't think it is. I think I took it out. There's one. Next slide. Oh, okay. No, we'll come back to that. So hit pause. One of the things that is difficult is assigning behaviors. So it's one thing to say, I feel hurt. It's another thing to say, I feel disrespected. Because disrespected is saying, you disrespected me. And there's a difference. If you look, disrespected is not on the list of negative feeling words. So we'll go through these, and there's one in there that specifically says, so little things people say sometimes hurt me. Next slide. Sometimes when people say little things, I feel hurt because I want to be appreciated not criticized. This is that extra emotional intelligence layer that you need to get to. Because here it's you feel hurt because I want two things. I want a good thing and I don't want a bad thing. Like this is like real emotional intelligence work. Next one. You never finish your food. Again, this would be an evaluation. But what you would say is I feel disappointed that you did not finish your food because I worked hard on the meal and I don't feel appreciated. Or, like you can just keep going. And again, what's that's going to do is that puts accountability on us managing and regulating our emotions, but it also gives them an opportunity to say, oh, okay, I need to change my behavior. Next one. Why do you always show up late? That's me. I'm horrible. I'm always late. Okay, but next slide. I feel frustrated when you show up late because I was hoping we would get some front row seats. Not that anyone did, but what? It's fine. These are like, again, it's easy. These are the simple statements that are so easy to do. And you feel like, I'm just going to give brevity is your friend. It is actually not your friend. Brevity is not your friend, especially in communication. So you can say all of these kind of things, and it sets a need. Suddenly you're like this is kind of important to me, guys. Like if you say that to a friend, it's kind of important to me that we're in the front row or we get good seats. And then they can show up for you. Next one. I'm sad that you will be coming for dinner. Close. I'm sad that you won't be coming for dinner because I was hoping we could spend the evening together. Okay, so yes, good. Still expressing an emotion, but we can take it a little bit further. Next one. You said you would do it and you didn't. Thanks. When you said you didn't do it and then when you said you do it and then didn't, I feel disappointed because I want to be able to rely upon your words. Now, a lot of people, when they're like, well, do I ever get to address anyone's behavior? Yes, you do. In a simple statement like this. A simple statement of, I felt disappointed because I want to be able to rely on you. I want to be able to count on you. And if they're going to continue to do this behavior, then you're able to set a boundary because you're like, okay, I've communicated. I've done it in a nonviolent way. I've told you how I feel, how your actions make me feel. I told you what I need from you. And if you continue to not show up for me, then I get to step back. Make sense? Next one. I feel angry when you said that. Fair. Feel angry when you said that because I want respect and I hear your words as an insult. Now, this right here may not have been their intention, right? But that's how you perceived it. And that's okay. You're allowed to have your feelings. But what you do is you start the conversation of, okay, well, I didn't mean it as an insult. And then they get to come back and reframe what they were saying. And suddenly we have connection. See, I'm all about connection. The supervisor always breaks her promises. I feel angry that the supervisor broke her promise because I was counting on getting the long weekend off to visit my brother, who I really miss. See the progression of growth. Suddenly it was less about feeling angry, but more about missing someone. When you're able to step back and realize, okay, I'm angry, but anger is usually fueled by something. People don't usually come in hot for no good reason. They come in hot for a good reason. You want to, as a person, get to figuring out why, or you want to engage in a conversation so you can figure out why. Because as you as a supervisor, you could be like, oh, I didn't know. How long has it been since you've seen your brother? It's been like a year and a half. Oh, damn. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's figure this out. You let me know the next time he's available. Suddenly you've escalated your team and your leadership. Suddenly they feel validated in their pain, in their grief. And then you are able to show up for them. Say, hey, we've got too many people on staff this weekend. Do you want it off? Is your brother free? Send them out. When they get back, how was your visit with your brother? Did you have a great time? Please let me know next time so we can make sure that happens. You elevate all of it. when you start having these kind of conversations. Next one. The act of observation over evaluation is actually a two-way street. Whether you are going after someone or if someone is coming after you, when you stop, reflect on the situation, and start to ask questions, you bring connections rather than break them down, which is essentially what that last illustration was about. Next slide. The last step of effective communication is the practice of not assigning behaviors, which we already hit. Next slide. Okay, so this is the last exercise, and we've got about 5 more minutes. And this is actually in the book, and it's a really good example of how to get in touch with your feelings and how to say them. At a nonviolent communication workshop, a college student spoke about being kept awake by a roommate who played the stereo late at night and loudly. When asked to express what he felt when this happened, the student replied, "I feel that it isn't right to play music so loud at night." I pointed out that when he followed the word feel with the word that, he was expressing an opinion, but not really revealing his feelings. When asked to try again, he said, "I feel disrespected," which is an assigned behavior. And I pointed out that he was assigning a behavior to the roommate. Asked to try again to express his feelings, he responded, "I feel when people do something like that, it's disturbance." Again, I explained that this was still an opinion rather than a feeling. He paused thoroughly and then announced with vehemence, "I have no feelings about this whatsoever. It's over it." So knowing the situation, we're gonna just, I'll give you like 3 minutes. You can collaborate with your partner beside you if you like. How would you describe your feeling about the roommate being, or the college student being kept up by a stereo that's being played too loud? Okay, so it should have another form in there for you to write it out. See what you come up with. And then we don't have to share publicly. You can show me later. Couple minutes and then we're done. Well, almost done. All right, 30 more seconds. All right, 15 more seconds. I'm gonna get one of those weird things. I don't care about this exercise. All right. Okay, anyone want to share? You don't have to. I'm just asking. Yeah.
So we had this situation with our daughter. And she had a roommate in the dorm, and then the roommate would play music super loud for the night. So we were trying to get their communication because they were butting heads and not talking. And so we were just trying to get her to say to the roommate, she needs her sleep to do well at school, and she likes to do very well in school. So we were trying to tell her to put headphones on so it can go out, or just try to, she was feeling disrespected or not very important, that she would keep her up because that's what she wanted to do versus letting her sleep and get her sleep because she had morning classes and the other girl did. Right. So they ended up hanging out with her just next. They got they're still friends. They still communicate here.
Yay! I love hearing that. All right, anyone? Well, we'll end it. We'll end with a good story like that. Okay. Last slide. I love this quote. It says, "I don't want to be at the mercy of my emotions. I want to use them, enjoy them, and dominate them." I think healthy communication, healthy relationships, genuine connection happens with emotional intelligence, where you are able to be self-aware, self-regulate, build healthy relationships, all of those wonderful things. And suddenly you're elevated. You elevate the people around you. You bring them up. You help them grow into amazing, amazing people. So again, you have my information. Most of you, I think, in there shows like a brochure of mine. My business cards are in there. If you didn't put a business card for a free consultation for your business or personal relationship, anything, please do, because I will draw a card and I will call you up and see if you want to do a free app. I love relationships. I want to do this for the rest of my life. So thank you so much for being here. It's wonderful. And here's.
All right. Thank you, Johnny, for that.